All right, everybody. Back with some more content. Friday, 5 p.m. This Friday, 5 p.m., 3 days from now, 5 p.m. Central Time. I'm going to be having a debate against the user known as Juggernaut. I know, really original. This guy's a Tug fanboy, essentially. I think he saw his leader's head get put on a pike, and he wants revenge, or he's trying to defend his honor or something. He came over to some of my videos. He's been commenting, whatever, typing out like memoirs about why I'm wrong or whatever. So I eventually just said, just debate me. Like I don't really want to type 8 paragraphs in response to his 8 paragraphs. And I'll put some of the screenshots up here. But essentially, Juggernaut, and this guy has 3 subs last time I checked, and he wanted me to pay him. He wanted me to pay him to come onto my channel to debate me, essentially over the same topics that I've already destroyed Tug in. So essentially, I'm 2-0 in debates. In my opinion, just going off the poll after me and Politicus Rex debate, that's all I'm going to use. I wouldn't even call what happened to Tug a debate. That was just, I don't even know what to call it, man. That was a rout. That was an astronomical ass kicking. Almost felt bad for him, but it's neither here nor there. I'm 2-0. I'm going 3-0. I'm going Goldberg here. I'm going undefeated. And so this guy wants to debate if there is an objective GOAT. Can you make the claim there is an objective GOAT in basketball? I'm specifically basketball, but I mean the logic I'm going to use could apply it to anything, right? So I'm so confident, right, that my logic is so foolproof, it is so airtight that I'm just going to go ahead and give you guys a free preview of what this is going to be. Essentially, there's 2 layers to this. You follow these 2 layers. And by the way, Michael Jordan fans are the best. Will be moderating and hosting. He'll probably post it after I do it. I'm going to be live streaming it, so afterwards, in the comments, I'll put timestamps and stuff. But he'll have it on his channel afterwards as well. But we'll be arguing: can you make the claim, or is the claim valid that there's an objective GOAT, right, in basketball? Objectively, can you say there's a GOAT? And it's very simple. Yes, you can. And I'm so confident. I don't even feel, I'm not even worried to sort of expose my debate strategy here and my tactics. But essentially, it's a two layer attack, right? We're gonna flank him on the left and flank him on the right. And the first layer of this, the first prong of this attack, correct? My soldiers are following me here. The first layer of this attack, and I kind of brought this up in the Politicus Rex debate, is that obviously you can rank players, right? I mean, this guy's a Tug fanboy, so they play this like, oh, I don't know anything. We can't decide anything. You never know, or everything's subjective. There's a million variables, which is kind of also some of the arguments that Rex made. Not to call out Rex. I like Rex. We squashed the beef and everything, so shout out to Rex. He's a good talk to. But in terms of like more or less the Tug fanboys, right? They always play this kind of dumb game where they all of a sudden, right? These guys are so smart at basketball. They know that Michael Jordan's not the best, right? But at the same time, they have no idea how to watch the game and say who's better than another player, right? So, I mean, you really, I mean, I've said it once about Tug, and his fans are largely the same. They really think they're smarter than they actually are. They really think they're getting you by kind of playing this like, everything's too nuanced to tell. Like, there's no way we can decipher this. Who knows? And again, the argument that something is subjective or that there's too many variables has nothing to do with the heart of the argument in terms of saying objectively, can there be a GOAT, right? So the first layer is that you can rank players. We all do this. We all know it can happen. Again, we might differentiate on who's above who when you start getting tighter and tighter, right? Up at the top 10, it becomes really tight compared to the guys in the top 10 versus the guys in the bottom 300, right? But we all rank players. Again, is JJ Barea better than Magic Johnson? No. Is the 12th guy on the Dallas Mavericks bench better than Michael Jordan in the 90s or when he played? No. And it's just that simple, right? Again, we might have a hard time deciphering between I don't know. I'm just trying to think of two players who are similar, I guess, in today's game, right? Tatum or Luka, right? Like, yeah, that one could go maybe 50-50 or what have you if you were like to poll every NBA fan, right? That one's a lot closer. But again, it doesn't really matter because everyone's going to pick one over the other based upon what they think is important or what they see, what they're judging it by. But there's no way anyone would say that Tatum and Luka aren't top 20 in the league at a minimum, right? Or that Luka and Tatum aren't better than Davis Bertans on the Mavs, who probably people don't even know, and for good reason. And so again, we can rank players. That is number one. There is no getting around that fact. There is no getting around the fact that players can be ranked. Not who is ranked who, not it's subjective where you rank guys. It's just the bottom line that players can be ranked. They are ranked. They're always ranked. And anyone who plays this dumb game of like not knowing what they're watching or looking at or being able to decipher who's better than who, again, these guys are MJ haters, right? All their arguments, this is why I say they're not as smart as they think they are. All their arguments are just based around trying to undermine any legitimate, objective arguments so that at the end of the day they can say, see, we don't know if MJ is the greatest, right? That's largely where all these people come from, right? Again, he's a Tug fanboy. That's where I met him. That's where he came from. He takes all the same positions essentially. And apparently he's not Tug. Someone says he's heard him on Tug's channel before. I'm not convinced. I'll have to hear it Friday. Again, a guy with 3 subs on an alternate handle with no content wanting me to pay him to come onto my channel sounds like a Tug move if you ask me. But anyways, players can be ranked. That's it. That's the bottom line. It doesn't matter how we get there, who you rank to, based on what. Players can be ranked. And there's no getting around that. There's no getting around the fact that Magic Johnson is better than J.J. Barea. That objective fact alone, and by the way, even if you said, I would put J.J. Barea above Magic Johnson, you're still agreeing with me. This is what I mean, where it doesn't matter how you rank them, how subjective it is, or how you came to that conclusion. Everyone ranks players. If a gun was put to your head, metaphorically speaking, you essentially would rank players, right? You would make a decision based on whatever your criteria is whenever you watch the game or what have you. You would essentially rank players. Everyone does it, and anyone who says otherwise is just lying through their teeth. Now, you might say, the only argument I could give you a little bit is like, well, when it gets to the top 10 people, it's really hard, right? And that's true, but that still doesn't take away from the fact that one of them has to be better than the other, and this leads into my second point. No two players are carbon copies of each other, correct? There are no two players with the same stats, the same accomplishments, the same athleticism, the same skill set. And even if they had one or two of those things in common, there's still other variables, even if they had 2 out of 4 of those things, well, there's other 2 things they're not the same at, right? And there's not even any 2 players like that, even to begin with, right? There are no 2 players who are carbon copies of each other. And so, again, this is just basic logic following the steps. If you can rank players, right? No matter how you do it, no matter what criteria you use, if you can rank players, which we all agree, I think that's just a basic fact, right? I know I'm not debating anyone right now or anything like that, but I think 99% of fans, again, the only people who would do this is because they're playing stupid for some reason, and they're really doing it for ulterior motives and other reasons, right? Everyone ranks players, and players can be ranked. That's just the bottom line. And if there are no 2 players who are the same, the logical conclusion is that at the end of the day, on top of that basketball hierarchy is going to be one player. We're not arguing who it is. We're not arguing based on what. We're just arguing the fact that players can be ranked. You can tell a difference. Even if we see different things looking at the same player, we see something. We're looking at something, judging him on something compared to this guy. Players can be ranked, okay? It's just the bottom line. And if there's no two players that are the same, the logical conclusion is that someone out there is the GOAT. Objectively, there is a GOAT. Not who, just is there objectively a GOAT. Logically, yes. And I'll even kind of, Politicus Rex said this, and it kind of made me think about this debate. He had the Lynn Bias example where, like, what if Lynn Bias hadn't died tragically, right, before he played, and had won, like, 18 straight MVPs, 18 championships, 18 All-NBAs, led the league in points per game, total points, steals per game, total steals, on and on and on and on, right? There's that, and then also we could even say that the greatest player possibly ever maybe's already died and never picked up a basketball, right? I mean, just theoretically speaking, we could say that, you know, had he played basketball, the greatest player ever, hands down, or someone that would surpass everyone, maybe's already dead, and we just never knew it. Or maybe he's alive right now waiting to be played. Or maybe he's currently in the NBA. Or maybe he hasn't even been born yet. Objectively, though, there has to be a GOAT. No two players are the same. No two players play the same. And if we are able to look and see any kind of difference in ranked players, someone has to be the GOAT. Objectively, there is a GOAT. And this goes for anything, really. Objectively, there is a GOAT at any particular subject, niche, industry, you know, job, anything, right? Somewhere out there. I mean, it's just the way it goes, right? Some things are better than others. Some players are better than others. No two players are the same. Again, if you just mathematically go down this conclusion or this logical conclusion, you just keep mathematically deducing those two simple facts. Objectively, there is a GOAT out there somewhere on this planet or in this universe, right? It's just, I mean, I don't understand how logically you get around that, right? And for all these talks of, well, everything is subjective or there's tons of variables, it is completely irrelevant to the point and the argument, right? Trying to say that there's a lot of variables and everything's subjective is running totally, you know, like, it's just totally skewing from the actual argument. You're not actually, like, paralleling any sort of debate against what I'm saying. It's totally irrelevant to the points I'm making. If you can rank players, and again, no one's going to tell me J.J. Barea is better than Magic Johnson. And it's supposed to be a stupid example on purpose. It's to dumb it down to just the basic elements of the argument. No one would say that, you know, Michael Finley is better than Michael Jordan, right? And again, even if you did, right, you're still ranking players. And so you would have to ultimately take the position to debate, to counter what I'm saying. The only thing you could really say is that I can't tell the difference between anyone. Like, I can't tell the difference between, I told the story during the top 5 power forwards. You would have to say, you know, I told the story about how LaMarcus Aldridge went like 16 of 18 from the field. He had like 40 points. I think he missed like one free throw. He shot like 14 or 15 free throws or something like that, something crazy. I mean, he was easily the best player on the floor, hands down. Anyone with 2 working eyeballs would have saw, not only is he the biggest, most athletic, strongest, and dominant and domineering on the floor, right? He had the best touch. He had the best shot. He got more points. He played the best defense, had the most blocks, had the most rebounds, etc., right? He was easily the best player, correct? And as long as we can all agree that when we watch basketball, we are, you know, constantly filtering and siphoning players through any amount of variables or subjectivity, you can rank players, right? And so saying that there are a lot of variables or that everything is subjective, it's irrelevant. It's really has nothing to do with the argument. Is there objectively a GOAT? Yes, there has to be. It doesn't mean we have to agree. It doesn't mean that we have to use the same formula or the same, sort of the same weighted average of what we think is important versus what isn't. You may think eras are different. You hold one era over the other. You may think scoring is more important than blocking shots. You may think assists are more important than steals. any kind of way you can go through it, right? You could even say like there's this guy who makes the perfect pass before the pass every time, and he just could run an offense. You could run an offense in a team better than anyone I've ever seen. It doesn't really matter what your criteria is, as long as it's somewhat basketball related, that you rank players and can see players. And again, whenever you pick a team in a pickup game, right, we can dumb it down even more. Do you just go, yeah, I guess I'll take that guy over there? Like, no, you don't. You go, that guy's tall and fast. That guy has a great shot. That guy's a good point guard. This guy's the best defender and hustle player on the floor. Like, you pick based on what you think is going to lead to the best results for your team, or as even what individuals are going to contribute the most, correct? And so the fact that it's a team sport, the fact that there's a million variables, and the fact that almost everything is subjective, all of which I essentially agree with, has nothing to do with the fact that objectively, there is a GOAT out there somewhere in the world in this game we call basketball. Somewhere out there, there's a GOAT, objectively. It's just basic deduction, right? On this basketball hierarchy, again, we don't have to agree who's at the top or what have you, but there is a hierarchy. Someone sits atop it. That's all that matters. And that's all that logically makes sense. And so that's really the argument. There's really no getting around that. Again, I have other things to say, other points to bring up, and I'll obviously respond to things that he says. But there's no getting around those two simple facts, that players can be ranked based on any number of criteria and subjectively, and that no two players are the same. It's just, from that, someone sits atop of this pyramid. That's really all that matters. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's that simple. So that's going to be Friday, 5 p.m. Central Time. We're going 3-0. It's not even going to be close. I don't think this guy thinks he can just kind of throw one or two quips out there like Tug, and he's just not used to having people being able to say anything back or being prepared. And they also, one thing these guys do is they only argue basketball, right? They only think about this from only a basketball point of view, right? The GOAT. Oh, MJ is the best or not the best, right? They only think about it from a basketball point of view. And so when they like to bring up arguments that they think they're kind of needling against saying MJ is the GOAT or there is a GOAT, right? And we don't really have to argue this from a basketball point of view. Again, we could take directing films, we could take architects, we could take doctors, we could take, any number of things, artists, dog walkers. I mean, you could throw this logically into any sector, any niche, any industry, any line of work, any topic. No two things are the same, correct? And we all rank things. I mean, literally as humans, it's what we do. We put things in boxes, we have priorities, we rank them, and each person is different, but we do it, right? And so just based on that alone, in this thing we call basketball, there is someone who sits atop the game of basketball, whether we know it or not, whether he's alive or dead or yet to be born, whether we agree on it or not, whether we use the same path to get there. Some form or fashion, objectively, there is a GOAT out there in this game of basketball. It's just that simple. So that's largely my two-pronged, two-layer attack. I don't care if he sees this video because there's just no getting around what I just said. Again, he's just going to stick to, well, ranking players is subjective. Well, it's a team game. There's too many variables. It's just your subjective opinion that there is a GOAT. No. That has nothing to do with the argument of objectively, is there a GOAT in basketball? Yes, there has to be. Are we all not watching the same game, ranking players, putting them here, thinking this is important? Again, we don't have to agree on it. You could have J.J. Barea as your all-time GOAT. You could say Barea, I think, I'm just using Barea because I'm a Mavs fan, and he's kind of like an easy player to think of that people know that isn't like an all-time great, but he's semi well known. You could think JJ Barea is the greatest player of all time, right? Or you could say guys like Barea are the guys that I like that I think are the best. It doesn't matter. Like, if you're watching the game, you are rather consciously or subconsciously drawing conclusions about what you're watching. I mean, that's just human nature, right? You're looking at this guy and you go, wow, that guy's fast. Wow, that guy jumps high. Wow, that guy shoots good. Wow, that guy blocks a lot of shots. Wow, that guy's like that guy like White on Rice. He plays good defense, right? Wow, that guy's making passes I'd never seen before, right? It doesn't. There's no getting around that we rank players and judge them and see things. And at the end of the day, no two players are the same. It's just impossible, right? Like no two zebras have the same stripes. No two tigers have the same stripes. No two basketball players are carbon copies of each other. It's just the way it is. They could be the same height, same weight, same vertical, same shooting ability, whatever. They won't have the same stats. There'll be variables about maybe why one was better than the other. Maybe one had a better work ethic. Maybe one was on a better team. It doesn't matter, right? The variables and the subjectivity and all that has nothing to do with the argument. Objectively, is there a GOAT? Yes, there has to be. It's just the way it works. Objectively, someone sits atop that hierarchy of basketball. And whether you think it's Jordan or Wilt or Magic Johnson, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter who you think it is. It's just the question is there, objectively, is there a GOAT in basketball? Yes, there has to be, just logically. So that's it. That's my little teaser. Again, I'll be ready come Friday. It's going to be another bloodbath. He's going to come with the same weak arguments like Tug does. And if he sees this and he's thinking, oh, crap, like, maybe I should go a different route, well, then I've already won if he's having to change his game plan up. But it's that simple. I'll have more stuff to say on Friday, some other things. I usually like to go first. I'll let him go first. I don't even care. But he's going to get destroyed. Like, it's just basic logic. It really is. That's what I'm saying. These guys think so much just in terms of basketball, and they're just trying to make basketball arguments that they think that the GOAT, the argument of the GOAT is a subjective thing. That's not really the question. The question is, objectively, is there a GOAT? There has to be. I mean, he's out there somewhere, whether this world or in the universe or the galaxy or whatever. Someone out there, just mathematically speaking, statistically speaking, objectively speaking, subjectively speaking, someone out there is the GOAT. That's just the way it is. So that's largely my two-pronged attack. Again, I don't care if he sees this. I hope he's taking notes. But it's that simple. And I'll see you guys Friday, 5 p.m. We'll be live streaming it. And put your comments below if you got any questions or any other arguments or things you want me to bring up or things you think he'll say or whatever, right? But I'm ready. I already demolished Tug. I essentially ended his career, if you ask me. I mean, he really should be ashamed of himself at how he performed on that last debate. Tug was Politicus Rex was a good debate. I enjoyed it. We squashed the beef. We're good now, I think. I think there's no ill will there. So, 2-0. We're going 3-0 Friday, baby. Jump on the train. Jump on the hype train now, because it ain't stopping. And we're going undefeated. It's all we do. We expose and we go undefeated. That's all we do here. So, that'll be Friday, 5 p.m. I'll see y'all then. Later.